What up, nerds, and welcome back to Lily's Ranger Talk. I am your host, Lily, with Lily's Ranger World, and if I sound a little soft spoken today, I am filming this, at least this first section, at 10:35. My mother is sleeping. um, but I wanted to at least start this episode. Um, I have finally finished Gosei Sentai Dairanger, my 17th Super Sentai season that I've watched. And I say finally because at the time of recording this, it's June 5th. I started this the end of February, maybe even earlier in February. I honestly don't remember because that's how long it's been. Um, I think it's time that I retire note taking because that's partially the reason why I haven't watched it. And it's such like a this is my cold opening, by the way, but it's such like I have mixed feelings on it because so I think with Boominger I started taking notes, and I did it so I could like retain memories because I don't remember things as well as I would want to, especially down the line when it's been like a certain number of years since I've watched the Sentai. So, I take notes to help remember for discussions like this one. But I started noticing this when I was watching Gozuger, and maybe it's also just because, I don't know, Gozuger was such a show. Like, I know I said I've liked it in the past, but, like, reflecting on it more, I don't know. Um, but, anyways, I've noticed when watching Dairanger, like, I kind of was hesitating on watching episodes because I didn't want to take notes. And that just takes away, like, yes, I'm doing this so I can review shows, but I'm also doing it because I love watching Super Sentai and I want to watch as many seasons as I can. And by that I mean maybe all 49? Who knows? But yeah, it's such like a, like, the good news is, like, if I stop taking notes, I can just sit there and watch the show. But then if I don't take notes, like, I feel like I'm gonna sound like an idiot, or more like an idiot, when I do these reviews. That being said, I did take notes on most of the Dairanger. I didn't take notes on the last 10 episodes, but I have a decent memory of those 10 episodes since I watched them recently. Anyways, with that being said, let's get straight into the review of Gosei Sentai Dairanger. Okay, I lied. I actually wanted to give an update about the Red Ranger ranking video that I was planning on making. I'm gonna have to postpone it and re-record it because now that there's two Sentais that I have finished, the list is outdated because I did have it recorded, and now that I found a workaround to my little cloud syncing problem with my phone and my laptop, I had full plans on, just editing it. But then I realized, well, now I have to put Ryo in, not Shishi Ranger, Rue Ranger in. So I figured I might as well just re-record everything and, just edit it at some point. I did in December. Granted, I never finished it. um, I did update that list, and again, that was before I finished Gozuger and even started Dairanger. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna have to just re-record that, and I don't have a time where I want to do that just yet. Maybe I'll watch a couple more seasons. Maybe we can make it a top 20 list. But I don't know because I don't really have like any episodes planned. I might do a 25 years of Time Force because they have an anniversary this year too, and I didn't even think about that until I realized, like, when I was watching my Beetleborgs video during editing, oh, there's it's 25 years of Time Force. Maybe I should talk about it. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay, now let's get into the Dairanger review. It's time for our good friend Ranger Wiki. But anyways, Gosei Sentai Dairanger is the 17th Super Sentai season, and it aired from February 19th, 1993 to February 11th, 1994. And its Power Ranger counterpart, if you can count it that, well, I guess you can, um, is Mighty Morphin Power Ranger Season 2, specifically the Swords, and Kiba Ranger, aka the White Ranger, was used in Season 2 and also Season 3 for the White Ranger at least. But yes, that was the Power Rangers counterpart, and I actually have a. Well, we'll get to that when we get to that. But yes, and now it's time for the plot, also provided by Ranger Wiki, My Lifesaver. Over 8,000 years ago, the Dao civilization flourished in southern China. The Dao Empire consisted in three tribes: Dai, Shura, ancestors of today's humanity, and Gorma, who lived harmoniously. However, one day the Gorma tribe tried to take over the empire. Thus began the war between the Gorma and the Dai tribe. The battle continued for 5,000 years. Led by the Gorma triumvirate, the mythical Kibis appeared to oppose the Gorma, whose magical powers had increased to the point where they could turn themselves into monsters. 5 Dai warriors' ki powers had increased to the point where they could control the mythical ki beasts. The war ended with the disappearance of both the Dai and Gorma tribe. In 1993, the Gorma tribe, one of the Dao's 2 missing branches, revived to take over the world. To counter them, Master Keku assembled a team of 5 youths with high level of ki. They became the Dairangers of the present times. It also could be pronounced chi. I recorded this like 3 times, and this was the first time I pronounced most of those things right. Because apparently I can't read. Writing major, ladies and gentlemen, I should know how to read. Anyways, that's the plot, pretty much, of Dairanger. It's time for some Lily lore, because I do have a lot of nostalgia with Dairanger, but we have to take a little Lily lore journey. So back circa 18, 20 years ago, who knows, I was really young, I saw a video of like this guy unboxing like Japanese, snacks and like food and stuff. And one of them, and the first one I saw from that YouTuber specifically, was a Go Under's candy like bag set thing. That was my introduction to Super Sentai, technically speaking. But I then looked up some more videos, and among like the first videos I saw was the opening sequence of Dairanger. So I have a lot of nostalgia with the Dairanger theme song. It also doesn't help that, or it helps that it is the best theme song of all time. Definitely my favorite Super Sentai theme song. That is a spoiler for maybe a future video. I did, I think 3 years ago at this point, rank Super Sentai theme songs, but I only ranked the stuff that I've watched. And at that point, I didn't watch Dairanger, so I never ranked it because, and actually now that I've watched a couple Super Sentai themes or series with themes that I really like, that list has changed completely. But yeah, anyways, that was like one of the first videos I saw, and then also the first transformation, the first henshin of the Dairanger. That was also like one of the first videos I saw. So I have a lot of like nostalgia for Dairanger in a way, kind of. In the weird, like, obviously, up to that point, I've never seen it. But, I've seen those people, and I knew who they were. Well, I didn't know, like, in the, whatchamacallit, in the roll call that they said their names. I thought those were the colors. Like, I thought that was what the colors were, like, in Japanese, So it's so funny to think, because, again, I didn't know Japanese back then. Well, I know enough Japanese from watching the series and learning it for the past year and a half, but It's just so weird to think of like, oh, I watched this so many years ago as a kid and I had no idea what Super Sentai was. And here I am at 24, this is my 17th season. And it almost was my first season that I watched. Back in 2021, I tried to watch Dairanger, but I didn't get that far, and then I stopped. And then that summer, I watched my first season, which was Ranger, which I also have nostalgia for because I also watched a clip when I was young, but now I'm getting off topic. The point is, I am very nostalgic for this season. This is my third 90s show that I have watched. Um, the other two, if you guys don't know, are Jetman and Ranger. And if I had to rank solely based on the 90s um, shows, I would say first place is Ranger, second place Dairanger, third place Jetman. Although that is if I had to force myself to like rank them and not tie, because I say I really like Dairanger. I definitely don't like it as much as I like Ranger. Um, but that doesn't mean I hate it by any means. I really like the fighting. Excuse me, I had to burp. But yeah, the fighting scenes were really, really good. I think probably one of the best fighting scenes, like fighting sequences I've seen in Super Sentai so far. One stuff that stands out to me, especially in the first episode, was like Rin's iconic like kick into a split. That was cool. I wish she did that more often. That was iconic. Um, but yeah, just in general, I really like the fighting scenes. Like those stood out to me a lot. The story, I really like the story. I'll get into some episodes that I like in a second. But I did really like the story. I know I've seen people say um, the last couple episodes are not great. I don't know when they said the starting point was. I say like the final arc of Dairanger was fine. I don't know. I did not hate it, but I see where people were coming from. I see there were some like points of maybe lazy writing. I should point out there will probably be spoilers, so from this point on, please be aware. I'll talk about that. Um, I'll talk about the finale because I didn't hate it, nor I don't. I think I liked it, but like I don't. I didn't love it. I don't think it was like my favorite finale of all time. But now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if there's like a finale in any Super Sentai season that I straight up loved. At least so far. Maybe Ranger. Ranger might be one, and maybe Togeger too. I would have to think about that some more. But yeah, the story did take a turn near the end, and some of it I think could have been done better, but what do I know? Oh, I do have to say one thing. Or I'll say it later when I get to Ko. But yeah, um, I did like I said, I didn't hate the ending. I thought it was interesting. Would I have ended it the way that it ended? I'm not sure. Let's get into some episodes that I really liked. So, episode 1. Pretty much liked episode 1. I I pretty much wrote down like all the information I needed. I was very confused at first on who like the sole leader of the Gorma was, and to this day I was still very confused because I wrote in my notes app Commander Gara is who I am guessing is the leader of Gorma, or is it Commander Shadam or Lieutenant Commander Zuraido? It was Shadam. Well, technically it was the Gorma Emperor. Can't speak. But Shadam was pulling the strings. We'll get to that when we get to that. I said the chase scene with Bryn is what I remember most. So the chase scene with, I think it was the henchmen at the time, and I think they were like the Cortados. I can't remember the name of them. And they were, I think they also did it on the bikes. And then this scene is embedded in my memory, the first henchman. But yeah, like I said, I really liked the first episode. Probably one of my favorite first episodes in Super Sentai, if I'm being honest. Okay, episode 3 and episode 4. I just wanted to point out, I loved the idea of the key jester, who pretty much turned, I think they were kids, into like stuffed animals and dolls who came to life. And I put in the notes for episode 4, a doll robbing a ramen shop is hilarious, with a real pew pew, no less. I don't know if I can say that word on YouTube. I also said, when are the mecha coming into play? Because up till that point, it was just Yuseo and not the other mythical beasts. And I believe, yeah, it got answered, I believe, in the next 2 episodes. Here's something I didn't mention a lot. There, especially in the beginning, there were a lot of like 2-parters and 3-parters. A lot of continuation in this series, which I think that was a common thing, especially back in the 90s, that they were all interconnected. And I mean, for the most part, stuff is interconnected a lot. But it's just something to note. Although there was something I pointed out in episode 6, the 2-parter. So Rin was transported to China, and then the others made it to China too, and I don't know how they got there so quickly. They might have just teleported, or Master Kaku, which we'll get to Master Kaku when we get to Master Kaku. I don't know how they got there so quick. Okay, we'll also get to this when we get to Ryo. Ryo, I think. I don't know how to pronounce his name, apparently. But I wrote in all caps for the notes in episode 8, haha, Toei, I am immune to your sad moments. Not true. But it was true in this case. Okay, I don't remember what I was saying about episode 11. This was a Shoji episode. But I wrote down, Magnet Priest stopped talking to me. I'm assuming the Magnet, grandma that was making him and another girl, repel apart. I'm assuming that there was like he was talking directly to the screen, breaking the fourth wall, which creeped me out, probably. But yeah, a little nail tapping. There was another thing about episode 11 that I was thinking about just now when I was watching it. I was watching Tokucast's review on it, and they mentioned this, and I was like, oh, I completely forgot about this. But pretty much when the Dairangers also were affected by the magnets and they couldn't be near each other, they were on the spot very quick, and they came up with an idea, specifically Shoji, can't speak, and they form a straight line, and they pretty much blast Soji onto the magnetic Gorma. It was very, very cool. Very, very cool. Okay, we're moving on to episode 12, and this was another episode I really liked. It was when Kazu stands against a Tofu Gorma minion, making everyone drunk, including Daigo and Shoji. I love a good drunk episode. That was actually an episode of Kia Major, my least favorite Sentai, as you guys may know, that I actually really liked. And it was this is also something I've always pointed out in Kaku Ranger specifically, but also Dairanger did this more at the beginning. They didn't do it as much, where they're helping a child. But I thought this episode was really, really silly. And we'll get, again, more into the characters later. But I put down Daigo being drunk is so funny, because it feels so out of character for Daigo to get drunk. But yeah. And then we're going to move on to episode 13. I love Rin's grandfather Gohan. I believe that's his name. Yes. I absolutely love him. I thought he was hilarious. And then you will see Kabuki Boy in my thumbnail. Let me just look at my thumbnail real quick because I just made it. He is at the top left corner. And he is not only just my favorite monster design in Dairanger, probably, he's probably my favorite monster design in Super Sentai as a whole. Because his eyes, I remember his eyes are moving, and it was just a very intricate monster design. Kia Major could never. Um, but yeah, no, I really liked Kabuki Boy was how it was in my translation. With the dub, I've also heard Kabuki Novice. Is also the name. It's whatever you guys want to say. Let's see, other episodes. Oh, episode 15. Specifically, the Three Stooges. I absolutely love the Three Stooges. And we'll get to this when we get to Soji. But for some reason, in this first episode, which is their debut episode, it was Rio that had to deal with them. And then Soji had to deal with them for the rest of the time. Which I don't know why they chose Rio first. Maybe they're gonna do something. Again, we'll get to that when we get to Rio and Shoji. But yeah, I absolutely love the Three Stooges. They remind me a lot of Boom Moongers. I called them Team Rocket. I don't remember what they're called. Hash Aliens, I think. But they remind me of them. Just really, really silly and goofy. And I just really love them, and you can't help but, like, you always root for, like, the good guys in these shows, at least I do, but you also, like, when they are on the screen specifically, I just can't help but, like, root for them. Again, TokuCast said this, too, like, you just want, they're doing their best, like, you want to root for them, and I also made a note that the original, intro, so originally the intro started with, like, the dragon and the fire, and then it's riding into the city, the mythical beast. But this is when it starts to show, like, the opening clips. I never get why they do stuff like that, like, halfway through the show. And I also made a note about this, and it is something I always noticed because I've watched every Super Sentai opening, and even though this wouldn't have happened for the next couple of episodes, this is what I wrote. Although this won't happen for another few episodes, I always wonder why Ko and all the Six Rangers up until Gao Ranger, I think, I'm not 100% sure, never had their own special credit. Now, I cannot read Japanese well. I'm not really great with my kanji. So I'm going to assume that they were credited. At least I really hope they were credited for their work. But I never understood why, up until that point, they didn't do, like, a Six Ranger, like, call out, or really added the Six Ranger in. And that was true for a couple, where they had Six Rangers. I know in Zoo Ranger, I believe they updated it at least to have, the Green Ranger in the ending pose at the end of the song. Again, that's just something I noticed. And again, I'm sure they were credited. At least I really hope they were at, like, some point. Whether that was in the beginning or if that was at the end in the ending sequence. Which I didn't mention the ending sequence. I like that song too. I don't listen to a lot of, like, the ending songs unless they have dances to them. But I do really like that one. But yes, let's move on to another episode. Okay, so episode 28. I'm just going to talk about a couple notes here. I'm skipping a lot of episodes because there are a lot of character-focused episodes that I want to talk about when we specifically get to, the characters themselves. But I believe episode 28 was the introduction of Kamio, or Daimugen, which, again, also on screen, that's the turtle's sword. Probably one of my favorite swords in Super Sentai. I don't really talk about mecha fights because I don't hate them, but they're not like my favorite stuff. But I do really like the mechas in general in this and the Daireno. And I really like Kamio as a character. He is portrayed by Raita's actor from Jetman, and I love Raita. So therefore, I love Kamio. And I actually think I like Kamio a little more than Raita. I think he had more character. He had more to do, and I was glad that even after this whole turtle saga, that we still got to see him. That made me happy. He was kind of like an unofficial seventh member of Dairanger in a way, because he was always with them, like, or not always, but like he was occasionally with them. And then another thing that I talked about is so, and again, I didn't talk about some of these characters yet because I'm going to talk about them when we get to certain characters because they have ties. But they fought like illusions of allies and enemies, and I thought while it 100% makes sense to use Kujaku as an illusion for Daigo because she was an illusion, I don't get why the Dairangers were trying to fight her because she was an ally. She was not at this point a, you know, bad person. Like Jin, Akumaru, and the Stooges, that 100% makes sense. But it didn't really make sense for Kujaku since she was an ally. Perhaps Daigo wasn't trying to fight her. Maybe he was trying to save her. Because I don't think at that point they knew they were illusions. I think they thought they were genuinely the real people. But yeah, that's just something I noted. Moving on to the next episode, episode 29, where they find out about the truth of Ko and Kiba Ranger. It's about time they find out. That was my first note. And then, let's see. I wrote, a child being flung on a fish hook made me cackle. Yeah, I'm a sick individual. It was just funny. It's not real. Also, this was the monster that did tongue twister bombs, and I love how I said bombs but not pew pew. And I said those were clever, and that's when we got the huge twist. And then I said yes, Gohan is back, Rin's grandpa. And then Kazu realized the connection between Kamio and Daimukin. Let's see, episode 30, Metal Gorma, which, now that I forgot that they were metal, and considering what happens later, that's something I'm questioning. But yeah, I guess that's all I had to say about episode 30. Ryo was smart for going near the bomb, but also dumb. A note I wrote for episode 32, and this was about Master Kaku, is while Kaku, yes, Ryo should have responded right away to Shoji, he was like yelling at him because like Shoji pranked him to try to wake him up, which I thought was really funny. But Kaku was like mad at Ryo for like, how dare you not respond to Shoji? Did you not hear the fact that he got pranked earlier? Like, no wonder why, Ryo didn't respond to Shoji. He should have, yes, but I get why he didn't. So, I have mixed feelings about Master Kaku, and I might actually talk about him before I get into the main Dairangers. I really liked episode 33, the Rin focus episode. I loved that in the, like, not the opening scene, but, like, the next scene after the opening scene, the four guys, they just run in and tell Master Kaku, like, look at what Rin's doing. It's kind of like the four older brothers kind of tattling on the younger sister. And I think she's the youngest. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I thought it was funny. And I also thought this was, I have a note, damn it, Toei, you made me cry again. And then I said, that was depressing. The Daigo episode will make me feel better, because the next episode was another Daigo Focus episode. Oh, Rin just straight up punching Gara after Takamura dies. That's iconic. Like, and I believe she was unmorphed too. Like, she just straight up punches him. Um, that was so iconic. Um, let's see. Other episodes. The Daijin Ryu. Let's talk about Daijin Ryu. Because that I don't think they should have added Daijin Ryu. I really don't. Because I don't get him. So he comes to destroy humanity. But what I don't get is that like he also destroys like the Gorma area too. I think I don't know if it's a planet or like if it's just a separate dimension. Like I'm not sure like what it is per se. But what I don't get is like why not destroy the Gorma? Like I genuinely thought that the Daijin Ryu would be an ally for the Dairangers because the Dairangers are only fighting the Gorma to defend, Earth. They're not really going out attacking people willy nilly. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. And now I'm gonna get into the finale, which honestly, this gets me. Like the last couple episodes, it gets me to talk about Master Kaku. I at first did not hate Master Kaku. I thought he was cool. Just an ordinary guy. Well, not ordinary, but like he wasn't necessarily like a bad mentor, I guess I say, like a Zordon. Until we got to specifically episode 39, that's the other episode, where it is revealed that Master Kaku, spoiler alert ahead, was a Gorma. It is a Gorma. I think he's still a Gorma. And, they tried to form a truce, and then the Gorma broke the truce, to get Daijin Ryu to stop destroying the planet. Now, during the whole Ko's in danger of becoming a Gorma saga, that also happened after, like, I think it was, like, episode 43 for episode... Around that time, Master Kaku goes back and negotiates with Shaddam. Maybe even the Emperor... No, I think it was just Shaddam at this point, not the Emperor. And the deal was, they'll call off the truce if he goes back and he's like the Master Chief or something. And he does this because he was a Gorma, but he was a Gorma who wasn't all in on this fighting and was trying to stop the fighting, and there were some against him. But here's the thing, and this is why I don't like Master Kaku. He should have told the Dairangers what was going on. Instead of like this, because the other part of that deal was disbanding them. Okay, fine, disband them. But tell them what's going on. And he did eventually, but like, he should have been straight up from the get-go. And I think it was revealed later that it was because he didn't want the others to worry about him. But they could have kept so they put antennas down for Chi and Yo power, and they could have protected it way better. And I think him dying wouldn't have happened because he had to fight Shaddam to become the next emperor. And I don't think any of that, like, I think the outcome of that, and obviously then we wouldn't have a show, but I think the outcome of that could have been very differently, and the show could have ended slightly better if they knew what was going on. Because they didn't know anything. Like, nothing. But yeah, no, they should have told, he should have told them. Any other important details I'm missing? From the finale? Oh yeah, right. Apparently, Shaddam was, like, at all the Gorma up to that point had been mud people, or like, were just made of clay, and they weren't real. Including the Emperor, and then Gara, and then Zydos. So they were all fake, and I think that also includes all the monsters that they fought up to this point, um, including Shadow himself, who didn't even realize. That I thought was stupid. I thought that was the stupidest thing ever. And then Jaijin Ryu comes back, destroys the Gorma. Again, like, why? That makes more sense. Why destroy Earth when Earth's just defending itself from the Gorma people? Like, and then upon the mud thing, are they metal or are they mud? I mean, there were always mud. He said, like, oh yeah, you all were just my puppets. And, because at this point, Shadowmon, he's the emperor now. And for what it's worth, like, the fight in itself was really good. And then the ending, I just didn't like how they I kind of wanted to see what they were doing in their modern, like, in their youth, and not at 50 years on. But it was cool to see, like, you know, their grandchildren become the Dairangers, and then, you know, when the Gorma came back. And it's a reflection of the first episode, because it was the same monster, or very similar monster. So, you want to know what? That was cool. I just wish I wish I got to see, like, a happy ending, and then we didn't even get to see Ko at the end, but it's okay. At the end of the day, like, it's cool. I liked it. I just wasn't crazy about it. But with that being said, let's talk about the suits and how I like the suits. They're one of my favorite suits in the series. There we go. But yeah, they're one of my favorite suits in the franchise, and I think it is such a shame that we didn't get, like, a single one of them except for Kiba Ranger. In Power Rangers, I think they would have done so well. I ultimately get why they didn't, because, you know, brand recognition is a thing. But, I mean, they were all the same colors, except for, I guess, you know, they didn't have a Black Ranger. But, I don't know, I think they could have done it. And I thought it was really cool. I know they did eventually use the Dairanger suits. I mean, they used it in Megaforce and Super Megaforce. I can't remember the name of the team that they're supposed to be. And then I know they made a comic with them, and then I think they made, like, an exclusive Black Ranger, which may have actually replaced the green. I'm not 100% sure on that. Why can't we have both? They could have used both. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm glad that they were eventually used, kind of, because I know this was, like, a comic book, I think, and I can't remember, like, specifically. So I guess it was cool that they used them at some point, and I mean, again, they used it in Super Megaforce. I should be more specific, it wasn't just Megaforce. But, you know, we could have done more, man. Because I loved, they're one of my favorite suits in the series, and I think they're so good, they're so pretty suits, and I love their helmets, and I think it's so cool. But yes, let's move on to the characters. So Rio, I believe that is how you pronounce the name now. I'm confident now. Or Ryu Ranger. He's interesting in the sense of, I don't know, he didn't get as much as you would think. I mean, this was a very ensemble show, right? Like, this wasn't a Red Focus a Red Focus season. But I feel like he should have gotten, like, a little more. He's had a couple rivals. So earlier on, they did, like, the whole thing with his father. And on one hand, like, that only lasted 2 episodes. But then, later down the line, we get the character Jin, who becomes Ryo's rival, and I think it really does work out. And I do really like Jin as a character, to get into Jin, because, again, connected to Ryo. And I like the last episode we see him in, where he kind of turns, I mean, he was never with the Gorma to begin with, but, like, he got Gorma powers. He's genuinely probably the most evil character ever. And his actor also played, Tramza, I think. Tramza in Jetman. So, another returning actor from Jetman. But I guess Jin dies at the end of episode 39. It's never really stated, like, but he does come back as, like, a spirit or something when the whole Master Kaku thing was going on. Um, but yeah, Ryo also had a sister who appeared in like the earlier episodes, and I believe both his parents are dead. And he works at a dumpling shop. I do like him as a character, and he has a great personality. But I just feel like he needed more. And once Jin came in, that definitely helped his character, a lot. I think once Jin came, it kind of made Ryo like a better character. Like we get more of an arc there. And in terms of Reds, he's not like my favorite. He's not my favorite Red. I don't know if I put him in my top 10. I'm still like deciding that, but he's up in terms of like, I don't know. Like, I do really like him. I like a lot of the I like all of the main 5 Dairangers. And we'll get to Ko when we get to Ko, because I actually have conflicting feelings about Ko. But, yeah, I do like Ryo, and I think he's cool. I just wish he did get a little more. And again, like I said, the Jin stuff helped, and even with the Master Kaku stuff, he definitely was. I feel like him and Rin were the closest to Kaku. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's how I feel. Let's move on to Daigo, aka the best character. I love Daigo so much. I love his seriousness, and his love for animals and people and humanity, and I love him so much. I love his episodes with Kujaku. I love Kujaku. I think she was a great character. And where is the episode that I'm thinking of specifically? Where is it? I found it. It was episode 23. When Daigo fought a hot monster, like a monster that was causing he unsuited from the inside of the monster. Like, he got stuck, and he and Kujaku were stuck, and he literally like punches from the inside, and I was like, he's so cool. I also really liked the episode. It was the Kujaku focused episode right before this. A couple episodes before that. With the little girl, he's great with kids and animals. Although I will say this, you left the child alone in the store. honey, baby. Daigo's probably another character who I would just want to give a hug to. On the list, I should make that actual list. Super Sentai characters who I wish to give a hug to. Because there's a bunch of them, right? That's on that list too. But yeah, I think he actually. So, Sakura from Lupat, you've reigned at number 1 on the Green Ranger list for 5 years. And it's time to give up your spot. And we finally kick out Senna. No, we don't. Who do we kick out of the top 5? I don't know, but I don't think it's Senna. It might be Makito. Oh well. I thought it was Senna from Kia Major. Anyways, but yeah, no, I really like him. Again, he's serious, and I like it, like his Phantom Star power or chi. That's cool. And I like his relationship with Kujaku. It's so sweet. And then you get sad when, Kujaku dies, and then you see he gets over it, like, he moves on from it quickly, which is great, but, like, it's still sad, because he really loved her. So it's sad. I did cry a little. But yeah, I think that's everything I really want to say about Daigo. He's just a great character. So let's move on to Shoji. Shoji really surprised me as how much I really like this character. Honestly, a few episodes back, as you guys know, I did my silly little ranking of how much I liked the characters and of each team and ranking the teams based on that. I also might do because that was just me ranking it based on how difficult it is. Not necessarily I like this team better than this team. So I might do a team ranking at some point. Maybe once I get to 20 teams or 20 seasons. Um, but I really didn't think I would like Soji that much. And granted, I did make this list while I was still watching Dairanger, but really really hasn't changed that much. My opinion hasn't really changed that much. He is the most passionate ranger I've probably ever seen, and he's so damn passionate. When he gets angry, you can feel it. And he has a relationship with relationship, a connection with the Three Stooges, as I mentioned before. Again, at first it was Rio who had that initial episode where they actually kidnapped his sister. And then for some reason it switched to Shoji, and I'm glad that it was Shoji who got the Three Stooges. And I think even the Three Stooges, they really liked them up to the point where, in their final episode, Farewell Stooges, they gave him a little banner that he wears around his waist. And it's so, I mean, I love those Three Stooges. They're so fun, but they're such good characters. And even near the end, they were cheering on Soji. They're like, Soji, you can do it. And I'm just like, aww. And I think, going back to the Stooges, I think they did not technically get defeated. I think they were just still alive, just in crutches and stuff. I'm not 100% sure about that, though. Because, they technically got destroyed. I don't know. But yeah, it was so fun to see, Soji doing the races, and then the baseball game. And I do believe Soji thought, he was going to, they were going to be good. But yeah, he also... See, at first I thought he was really going to be a ladies' man, but really he only had that one episode with the magnetic attraction stuff. And then he ends up getting rejected, my poor baby. But yeah, he also took Kaku's stuff probably the hardest, but again, that's just because of how passionate he is. He also took it really hard when he found out that he was a Gorma. But yeah, no, he's fun. I like him. There's another episode that I was thinking of the whole Soji pranking Rio thing. That was fun. That was so fun. But yeah, and definitely in terms of blues, he's definitely not as forgettable as other blues. He probably will be in the top 5 of my rankings. We are going to rank the season at the end with all the other seasons. But yeah, you'll see the updated list on my Instagram at Lilies_RangerWorld if you haven't already seen it, because I might upload it before this episode. I should put a place where you can see that permanently. Maybe I'll put it even on YouTube. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I really like Soji. And let's move on to Kazu. Kazu really didn't get much. And what he did get, kind of tied... Everyone got something tied in with someone. Kazu got a lot of stuff tied in with Kamio. Which I like their relationship. I don't think Kazu really likes Kamio, but Kamio really likes Kazu. Well, at least at first. I think he does like Kazu, or Kamio. Kazu likes Kamio. But, he doesn't expect Kamio to, always be around, Especially since he's a turtle. But it's so fun. He is a fun character, and I like him. I think it was I saw on the Tokicast comment. Um, Marcus, one of the hosts. Do you think Kazu is gay? And just based on his like style, I'm surprised I didn't pick that up. Because he could definitely be a gay coded character. I'm not saying that he is, but just based on how he dresses and like how stylish he is, it's possible. He did have an epic fight in one of the episodes, with himself because he got cloned. And all the Kaki Rangers. That's the next season. All the Dai Rangers got cloned too because they're all gullible. But yeah, I really liked Kazu. But he didn't really. He also didn't really get much. That's not his fault necessarily. He also had the drunk on tofu fight, which that was fun too. I liked that episode. Um, he could have done more, but hey, you get what you get, and you don't get upset. And now we're at Rin or Lin. I've heard people say both. It's either Rin or Lin. I think it's Rin. I keep hearing Rin, but it could be Lin. I don't know. I do really like her. Like I said, I liked her grandfather. She also didn't get a lot, but what she did get was great. Like, she's the reason why we had the mythical Kibis, because she freed them. She is a good caregiver to Ko, but I don't like how she is a caregiver to Ko. I really liked her idol episode, which I talked about that, and her relationship with Takamura. It was really sweet, and like, even though like you just saw the guy and you know he was evil, like you kind of also, you know, and he was only a one episode person. You really, and okay, let's go back to that. So when all the like past people were cheering on everyone, for some godforsaken reason, Ko's mother was the one who, you know, cheered on Rin. I get it because of the connection that Rin has with Ko, but also, like, she never even, I don't even think she said her name. She was just like, there, Ko's mother, and she was like, yes, go, go. She didn't actually say that, she just was like, so you can't see what I'm doing. So you can't see that I'm like shaking my head. But, I think it should have been Takamura. But they didn't mention Takamura after that idol episode. So it makes sense. Like, ultimately, it does make sense why it was Ko's mother. But maybe it should have been Ko's mother for Ko. But I don't even think Ko was there. We'll get to Ko next. Don't worry, we'll get to Ko next. But yeah, I wish she didn't also get as much connected to Ko. Because a lot of her focus episodes did have to do with Ko. But overall, I did really like her as a character. In terms of Pinks, again, she didn't get as much as other Pinks, but it might be Dairanger bias. Just like you, Ranger bias, except she's probably not going to be number one because that's still Raptor. But, well, I was looking at it. I definitely think I mean, she's in the top 10 regardless because I only watched 10 Pinks, so we're finally kicking Sayo out of the top 10, regardless of where I put her. But I was wondering, like, do I want to put her in the top 5? And then I'm like, but I still really like Ari as Gosei Pink, so she might be below Ari. I don't know. It's pinks and greens are usually so hard for me to rank because they're my favorite colors. I say usually because Daigo is an easy number one. Sorry, Sakuya, I love you. Um, but yeah, let's move on to the little bastard. I hate Ko in the beginning because he's a little bratty pervert. Squeezing Rin's boobs and squeezing her, looking under her skirt. And when some of the footage definitely wasn't used in Power Rangers because Tommy Oliver would never. that was the first thing I like thought of when I was watching like the earlier Co episodes, because some of them are like very like he's very immature, and I'm like, oh, so that's why they didn't use some Dairanger footage. Um, the whole situation with his family though is sad. With Ko's mother abusing him, pretty much giving him a burn, to protect him because he's half Gorma and half human. He is Shadam's son, and then Akumaru, who I love. They they debuted at the same time. Another key character. He was so much better. I liked him more as a character, Akumaru, because he was very complex. Because when he realized his mom was Ko's mom, and like Ko was his twin brother, he didn't necessarily turn good. He just had like a crisis, and then he died. Um, so that's fun. Speaking of dying, so I mentioned in I think I mentioned it in my silly little ranking video that I knew Ko would die. Apparently, I did not know Ko died because I was dead wrong. Um, I heard it from somewhere that Ko died. And I don't know why I thought Ko died, but here we are. And I think it would have been better if he. Well, no, I'm fine with him staying alive. But honestly, can I be so real with y'all? With how much, like, Ko, like, out of suit didn't appear in some episodes. Like, he did have his whole arc, of him becoming a Gorma and all that stuff. But. And this is what I call a huge conundrum, or a huge conundrum. I don't know if conundrum is the right word. I think Dairanger could have been fine without the Sixth Ranger. But you gotta think about this. So let's say we don't have a Sixth Ranger. Kiba Ranger just isn't there. It would change Power Rangers, probably, in one or two ways. Because I'm pretty sure the Green Ranger was still debuting. Because again, this was in '93. And I don't know when, like, the Green Ranger lost his powers. It could have been in '94. But mind you, when the Green Ranger, lost his powers, I think Tommy left the series, and then he was going to come back as the White Ranger that we know and love. Imagine if there was not, because I don't think Dairangers need a Ko. I really don't. They really focused on the main five so much that Ko wasn't even in, like, the final sequence out of suit. So I don't think we need the Ko. But if we didn't have Ko, and we didn't have the Kiba Ranger, then we wouldn't have the White Tiger Ranger. Therefore, Tommy probably wouldn't have came back. Or they could have made an original suit that more matched, the Mighty Morphin suits. And we could have had an original Ranger earlier than Lightspeed Rescue. But yeah, it's such a weird thing to think about. Because if we didn't have Kiba Ranger, we wouldn't have the White Tiger Ranger. And maybe Tommy wouldn't have became this iconic Ranger that he is known for today. That's something you should think about. So going back to the villains, and this is like the last thing I wanted to talk about because I forgot to talk about it when I talked about Kujaku, is I wanted to talk about Gara. Now, Kujaku and Gara were friends, but an incident happened because Gara, I think she was a Dai, if I am not, or a Dao, if I'm not, no, Dai, I think it was Dai, or Dao, I don't know. She was human. That's my point. She was human. And what ended up happening is an incident happened, and she protected Kujaku, and then she got a scar on her face. Kujaku wanted to save her beauty and, like, her scar, so she trained under the peacock, and then Gara sold her soul and became, a Gorma. So Gara and Kujaku have a grudge against each other, and they fight a lot. And interestingly, again, like all of them, Gara was also like a mud character, um, because she ascended, I guess, into have. There's a lot of things I don't get about Gara's character, and even Daigo mentions it. So Kujaku is dying and uses the last of the tears of the peacock tear or something like that, um, to heal Gara. Not only her scar, but she got blind during their fight. So she goes and she heals her and then dies pretty much, sacrificing her only chance of like staying alive. But Gara stays with the Gorma. Now again, at this point we didn't know she was just a mud copy, and the real Gara ascended into heaven, which that also doesn't make sense. If she became a Gora, how did she Gorma? Why did Gara go up to heaven? Or that because they were reunited in heaven and now they're friends again. Like, I don't get it. Like, it doesn't make any sense. But, like, Gara was an interesting character and was more memorable than Zydos or something like that. In fact, I barely remember anything about Zydos, except he did, become Mud, and he was the first one. But yeah, he wasn't really that memorable, and I confused him with Shaddam all the time, and still do, and probably still will, up until this point. But yes, that is all I have to say about Dairanger. I really liked this show. I thought it was really good. I don't think I've seen people say that Dairanger is overrated. I have also seen people say Dairanger is underrated. I don't think it's either. I think, like I said, it's a good show. I think it's perfectly rated. As like a good show. And I wish we could see a reunion, but unfortunately, the actor for Daigo passed away. May he rest in peace. Another person I wanted to talk about who also died, I wanted to talk about this in the beginning, but I was like, well, I don't know if I should mention this. The legendary actor Kenji Oba passed away in May. Also, may he rest in peace. Thank you for being a legend. And not just Super Sentai, but also Toei in general. He was also Space Gavin. But yeah, very, very sad. And now it is time for the ranking of Gosei Sentai Dairanger in my little ranking of like my overall series. There will be a spoiler if you haven't seen. Well, that video is outdated anyways. My Power Ranger Super Sentai ranking, but here is my current list with no Dairanger on there. I did switch some things around. I did end up moving Gozuger a little bit lower, because I felt like it was a crime to put it above that Magi Ranger. But yeah, this is my list. Before adding Dairanger in, if this is the thumbnail, because I can't set a thumbnail by an image, I will be very upset because, or especially if it's the after, because that spoils it. Hopefully you can see all the names, by the way, because it is on, it's not widespread. Anyways, now here is the new list. So I put it in bold so you can see it, but yes, Dairanger did make it into the top 10 at number 7, and apparently I did not switch Gozuger and Magi Ranger. I fixed that mistake, because I do think Magi Ranger is better than Gozuger, but we're not talking about Gozuger, we're talking about Dairanger. Honestly, you could probably switch Boombinger and Dairanger depending on the day. I say they're like tied for me in terms of enjoyment, but I did give Dairanger like the slight edge because there's Daigo. But Boombinger has Joe. I'm not switching it again. I already made another screenshot because I realized I didn't switch Gozuger and Magi Ranger. But yes, this is my review of Dairanger. What is the next season I am watching? I don't know. I'm hoping I need to watch one more so I can do the Lily Awards this year. At least one more. Since Super Sheriff Space Gavin Infinity is not going to be in contention for any Lily Awards, just except for maybe Best Series, for the sole reason being that it's not Super Sentai. Because it's not. But yeah, I'm stuck between 5 seasons that I really want to watch in the order that they came out of. Maybe Car Ranger, Mega Ranger, Aba Ranger, Deca Ranger, Shinkenger. Those are the ones I want to watch. I wanted to watch 3 Sentai seasons this year. I didn't anticipate me taking 4 months to watch Dairanger. But I think I really think it's gonna be Aba Ranger next, and I think I'm gonna try not to take notes and see how I do, and see how inaccurate my reviews are. But this is really just me talking about like my feelings about the show. Anyways, okay, I've kept you long enough. This is probably another long episode. But thank you guys for watching my review of Gosei Sentai Dairanger. If you want to watch Gosei Sentai Dairanger, you can find it on Tubi, along with most of, like, I think from Jetman on to Hurricaneger, you can find on Tubi, and I hope they put more Sentai seasons out there. But yeah, with that being said, if you want to see more of my madness and my beautiful face, please follow me on Instagram at lilies_ranger_world. We have a lot of fun there. You'll also see my updated color rankings list, and I'll find a place to put that. I'm sure I can find a place. In fact, I think I have a place. But yeah, with that being said, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in the next video.